Aprons, priests' habits and Arsenal London. All that tells us a lot about human beings. I posted two photos because now is the time of the Oktoberfest, although it is very reduced this year because of Corona, COVID-19. And I posted that a photo of dirndls, you know, the traditional costumes that you see in the Alpine area, especially in Bavaria. And I also posted those hats where they have those brushes up there. You know that from the Alpine movies and things like that. And I asked what my community thinks about that. And some said, oh, I love it, I wear dirndls, I wear those hats, I wear leather trousers, leather pants. And others said, no, I would never wear that because I would give up my individuality. And I think it's important to talk, to think and look a little bit beyond the fashion aspect of that. Because we as human beings are an animal that lives in groups. We would have never survived alone. If you were alone in a Neanderthal, for instance, or even 200 years ago, it would have been very hard to survive in the woods. Because if you as a couple, your husband or your wife, and you would live in the woods, it would be very hard because finding houses, finding protection, finding enough to eat, not talking about reproduction. If you would have children, protecting the child, gathering food, building housing would have been even more complicated. So you wouldn't have survived. Or we wouldn't have survived in a number that would be enough to be successful in evolution. So what our success secret was mainly two things. Number one was from the 4 feet stance up to a 2 feet stance. We had the chance to look farther in the distance and to see resources and enemies earlier because we were too slow, we were too weak to fight against several enemies. Number one. Number two, our hands were free to do things. And the second secret was we organized ourselves in groups. Now, animals do that also. If you have wolves, they also organize themselves in ruddles. But what we do is we divide the tasks within the ruddle very intelligently. You can see that when you go into social media and sometimes you see building sites where they build skyscrapers and you see them in a time lapse, in a fast forward motion, and you see how we organize like ants, we organize ourselves and within a short period of time a huge building is erected. And we don't even see the banks, the architects, which also help, which are very important to build such a skyscraper. So we are very good at organizing ourselves. Now that means we have to realize who belongs to our group. And that is what we do on the easy, on the superficial side with our clothes and with our status symbols. Because mostly people think of status symbols concerning money and concerning things that are expensive. But status symbols are mainly signals that show I belong to a certain group. So when you go to a restaurant or to a bar and you see people, men and women, wearing aprons, everyone knows what their job in that restaurant is. And if you see, for instance, in Munich, when they are so successful, Bayern Munich is so successful in soccer, in football, you see the fans of Bayern München because a lot of fans are wearing their dresses, red-colored dresses. And that is mainly a signal not for us, I don't wear those dresses, that is a signal for the others who also wear those dresses. And it is interesting when a Champions League game is, then you see the Bavarian fans with their red dresses, and you see the dresses of another team, let's say Real Madrid, the white shirts, or Arsenal London, also red shirts. Then it is a signal for their own fans. We are from Bavaria, we are from London. But it is also a signal that we all belong together in the family of football, and that is interesting, and that gives them a feeling of togetherness. And it is also with priests, when they are wearing habits, everyone and they know that they are a special group. And that is the prerequisite that we organize, that we can give certain tasks to certain people, but only to those people who show that they belong to the group. That is important. It is very important. On the other hand, when I read the comments about the dirndls and the leather pants, they said, oh, I never would do that because I'm an individual and I don't want to give up it by wearing a uniform. Well, there's a true point in that. We give up a little bit of our individuality, but we gain a lot, and we gain a lot of security. And there's also another aspect, and that is in the moment when you give up something, you show that you help that group. And that makes 1 + 1 more than 2. That is the success secret. But also those people who frequently say, no, I don't want to belong to a group, they secretly show in not belonging to that group with the signals, they show all those people who also don't want to belong to that group, that we again form a group, the group of the outsiders. A few decades ago, in the 80s, heavy metal, for instance, was that. You know, the leather pants and chains connected to the trousers. They showed we don't belong to that annoying and boring society. And the same was with the tattoos. When women had the tattoos on the backside of the hips in the 90s, it was very popular, and a lot of women made that tattoo. Nowadays, for a lot of women, it's an absolutely no-go, that tattoo. And the same is with those tunnels, you know, those big earrings. A few years ago, everyone who wanted to show I'm a little bit of an outsider, I'm a little bit of a crazy person, a weird person, had those tunnels. And that again shows, on the one hand, we don't want to belong to the mainstream, but we also form a group. And if you see the tunnel boys, tunnel girls, hey, we are as crazy as the other outsiders. And that is again a group. And the thing is, sooner or later, almost every outsider signal reaches the mainstream. The heavy metal fashion nowadays, you can go to Zara or H&M and you find Slayer and Metallica t-shirts. You can buy them at H&M, you know, that is the absolute mainstream. And you find the tunnels, you see the tunnels in the mainstream. You go into a bank or into an office, and a lot of people sit there with their tunnels. And as soon as such an outsider signal reaches the mainstream, it is the beginning of the end of that outsider signal. And the last thing that is important is, I read a comment that said, when you form a group, you lose your creativity because you don't get any more new knowledge. Now, there's a true nucleus, a true core in that. The more close the group is, the less creativity is possible. That is correct. But if you don't form a group, if you think, no, I don't want to form a group because I lose my creativity, that is only if you are an artist, you know. If you're an artist and you paint something, that is your creativity, although it is also inspired by other artists. But maybe we could talk about that. But normally, when you are all alone, in the end, you are never as creative as you would be in a group. That was your success secret. That was success secret number 2. In a group, we found more solutions for our problems. So belonging to a group and showing that you belong to a group is very important. Although we always and we still want to keep some of our individuality. And that is why, of course, we buy the fashion that is in right now. But we hate it if someone has the exact same t-shirt or jacket as we do. Because on the one hand we show I'm a member of the group, I know what is fashionable in that season, I know how to dress, but please leave me a little bit of individuality and don't buy the same t-shirt. If you have a dirndl on the first sight all look the same, but if you look closer, each and every dirndl is a little bit different. The same with leather pants, they are all the same on the first sight, but then you see the stitchings, and the stitchings are always a little bit different. So maybe you look at yourself in a different view right now. Keep in mind, you and me also, we always want to belong to a group, but only if our individuality is not completely vanishing and we are still recognizable as an individual, as a special person. Now give me your thoughts. Where do you wear uniforms? Where do you realize, oh, that is also a thing I do? If you see me right now, I show a lot of signals of uniformity. And I show some things that are different from others. And that is the same with you. Write me in the comments, what is the thing that you do in uniformity with the society and what is completely individual? Thank you. I'm curious.